Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boy.
So welcome everyone back to the group chat brought to you by Omar. I'm Darrell. Today I'm joined by Xin Wei to talk about something that might be super relevant to most of you because you're getting your O-level results very soon. And we want to discuss the factors to consider if you're deciding to go down the JC path. What are certain things to look out for when you're choosing your JC? Xin Wei, how have you been?
Good. Happy New Year, Darrell.
Yeah, so when we talk about selecting JC, I mean, we might already have a sensing of where we want to go, right? So usually it's like, I kind of know it's either this or that. Then I take a look at my cutoff point, whether I make the cut or not. But I think what we want to share today is based on our personal experience and what we've seen some of our students went through. What are some of the more important factors to look out for when we say selecting JC? So we're going to go through our own journey of how we selected our JC and also to share some of the tips that we have come to learn that we hope will benefit you when you're considering your choice of JC. Xin Wei, maybe I start off with you. So how did you select your JC? You know, maybe tell us more about your O-level result and, you know, the whole process that went behind it.
Okay. So my own experience is that I actually didn't set a goal for myself for like which JC I want to go to. Like I really didn't know all the way until like I didn't even think about it until I got my result and I have to think about it and submit I think back then, I don't know right now it's what, it's like 12 choices, right? Last time was like 12 choices. But right, so I didn't think about it until I got my result. So I kind of decided based on my result. So I was from TKGS, Tanjong Katong Girls. So many of TK girls go to Temasek, VJ, basically in the east lah, because most people stay in the east. But because I got my result and I did well. I got 2 points. So I was like, and I stay near RI. So I was like, and my brother is also from RI. So my brother was from RI, like my younger brother. So he's in like the secondary school part, right? So I was like, oh, okay. Then I think I will put the RI, like JC one for my choice. So that was my first choice and I got in. Yeah. So I didn't really set, I feel like I didn't really set myself like too much goal, like, oh, I must get into this school and things like that. I just kind of like go with the flow and I think distance played a very big part for me, like when I choose RI, like yeah.
Just to share a bit about my own experience, actually this doesn't really apply to me because I was a DSA. If you've been a long time listener, you might have learned about that, but I actually DSA'd. My choice was between Temasek and Victoria because they both offered me a placing. So I made the choice to go to Temasek JC, even though, you know, even at that point in time, VJ was a better school, but it was a CCA related choice because I wanted to join the team in TJ. But just to share, in terms of my own process when I was considering which JC to go to, actually my L1 R5 after deduction I got 4, right? So I could actually enter those schools even though I didn't DSA. I think some considerations that went into it was because I was very heavy on my CCA, so I was like, I wanted to choose a school that makes sense in terms of progressing my passion further. So I actually stay in Yishun. Right. So realistically, what are some schools that I should have gone to? Maybe Nanyang, maybe Anderson Serangoon. So those are nearer to my house. Or even like even if you want to go out a bit further, maybe SAJC. But I decided to go all the way to the east. I'll talk about whether I regretted that or not. But my thought process was that I wanted to choose somewhere where when I enter, my cutoff is there. But I'm also not at the fringes because I don't want to go in and feel overly stressed out because I just made the cut, right? So I always want to give myself a bit of buffer to know that I'm probably somewhere in the middle or maybe even a higher percentile when I enter, because I think that will give me a bit more safety room in case I slack off or anything. Now, I think what we want to talk about next is some factors that we think is important when we are considering what JC we want to choose, right? So maybe I'll start off with one of my own and then we can alternate real quick, all right?
Yeah.
So the first that I think is really important is I want to talk about is distance. So for myself, is that when I'm considering, hey, would I travel 1 hour to school every day? At that point in time, I thought that, hey, why not, right? I mean, like, it's just traveling. I could use my phone, I could do this, do that. But I realized that that was actually a very bad choice on hindsight. Because 1 hour back and forth every day, and you compound it over 2 years, that is a lot of time. And that's not just going to school, because maybe on Saturdays, you need to go back for CCA during holidays. The traveling time adds up. And this traveling time eats into your rest time, it eats into your revision time, it just eats into, because commuting is just a chore, right? And especially in the morning, you have to wake up at ungodly hours. It was really painful. So for me, I took around an hour or hour and 10 minutes to travel to and fro school. So one single trip is 1 hour at least. That was really tiring. If you want my recommendation and you go on Google Maps, I think the max you should travel to a JC is probably 30 minutes, I think tops. If you really want to stretch it, maybe 40, but nothing more than that. I feel like that is putting yourself in a very difficult spot. So I wasn't able to get much rest and stuff. So it was quite tough. Xin Wei, what about your factors? What's your first one?
If I touch on the distance part a bit, right? Like, because I think distance is very important also. But I have friends, like personally, but I have friends who really travel like very far to school. Like they stay in Pasir Ris, but then they have to travel to Marymount, which also takes around like 1 hour. But I guess it really depends on like how much. So it depends on other factors, right? I think distance is one factor to consider. I think the second factor is like the school experience. Like I cannot repeat yours, right? Because I think distance is quite important on mine also.
I guess maybe we mentioned different ones.
Okay, yeah, then I think it's the school experience, like the amount of things the school can offer to you. I don't really know much about other schools. Yeah, I don't really know about other schools culture, but I know like for my own JC and a few JCs, like they have a very vibrant school experience, right? Like a lot of school events. Okay, I don't know about COVID now. I feel like now with COVID, I'm not sure again. But I think school experience is great. Like for example, like Darrell, right? Like you have a very clear cut passion, a very clear CCA that you want to work on, a very clear skill that you want to work on. So you chose the better team, I think. Then I'm sure like some listeners also have that. Like maybe they're in band, maybe they're in certain sports. And I think that kind of like which school can give you the best environment will be quite important to consider as well.
Actually, just to share a bit more, right? I didn't choose the better team. I chose the worst, well, the lousier team, because I wanted to achieve something that the school didn't achieve before. So that was my
Okay.
mindset going
Okay.
into it.
Yeah, that can be that as well. Yeah.
Okay. Now to my next factor in terms of what I think is important, I would say is the subjects you're planning to take, whether the subject combination is available. So I think it's important to go and read up on the JC portal what subjects they do offer, because let's say you're into a more niche subject, right? You want to take like China studies, right? You need to check whether the school offers that in the first place. And I think a good rule of thumb is to go and find out, hear from seniors, or go and find out online whether the school, certain department, is it strong or is it not, right? So you want to make sure that the subjects they are taking, you know that there's ample preparation that the school is going to provide you, so that you won't struggle as much. Not gonna drop any names, but recently we did a survey with our A-level students, and we were asking them what they like and did not like about their school. So we actually shared that in our webinar that's upcoming right after O-level release. You can find the details on our website or Instagram or Telegram. But there, I think we get very first-hand insights from your seniors itself, what they think of those JCs and the different departments. So that might be something that interests you. But I think it's very important for you to check whether they offer that subject, and to get a sensing whether the school notes and the school department is strong in those certain subjects. So that is my second factor that I'll encourage you all to think about. Xin, what's yours?
Yeah, I'm thinking. I don't know. I think the next one, I'll probably say like what kind of 2 years you want. Like just now Darrell mentioned about like going in, like leaving yourself buffer, like not wanting to like go to a school that push yourself too much, or but you also don't want to like too slack, right? So it depends on yourself. So I think it really depends on individual. For me, I think when I choose RI, definitely there is some concern, right? Because I only takes very small number of JE, but the rest they didn't take O level, but they did very well for PSLE. So the environment in terms of like the academic rigor is definitely going to be there, right? And then when I select this school, I think I was like kind of betting also. I'm not sure if I could like do well in the environment. I don't know how challenging the JC curriculum would be, how challenging the competition would be. But I kind of just bet like, oh, okay, I think I can do it. So I went for it. Yeah.
I think it brings back to one of the notion, whether you want to be a small fish in a big pond or you want to be a medium fish in a small pond, kind of the idea. So it's whether you want to step up to the competition or are you more comfortable with pursuing other things, but still having that buffer. I think that's something that you want to consider. I don't think there's a right and wrong. It depends on your style too. If you're the kind that procrastinate all the time and you need somebody to push you, having that more competitive environment might help you grow, right? But if you know already what you want to do, there's a certain passion that you want to pursue beyond your academics, maybe you want to give yourself a bit more buffer space to work on your craft as you pursue your education. Not say completely relax, but at a more comfortable pace for yourself. So going on to my last factor, I think something that I considered, this one I don't think is that important, but when I was choosing my JC, I considered where my friends were going. So I think this might be something that you might be thinking at the back of your head. After all, you made good friends in secondary school. You want to further that friendship. At that point in time, that was part of my consideration. We all decided to go to Temasek JC together. On hindsight, it was nice, right? Like coincidentally, we took the same subject combination. So we're also in the same class. So we shared a lot of like memories and stuff. But with that being said, some of my friends chose to go to other JCs. It didn't mean that we grew apart, right? We are still good friends now. All is good. On hindsight, that affected my decision, but I felt like it should not have affected my decision as much because when I was in JC, I made a lot of new friends. And that didn't mean I let go of my secondary school friends, right? So it's just having more friends now compared to before. So another downside, if you go with a group of friends, you might stick with that group of friends too much and you actually devoid yourself of the opportunity to make even more friends. So on hindsight, I think friends might be part of the consideration, but if you were hear our old age advice, I think it should not matter as much. Yeah. So down to your last point, do you have any to share?
I share my point first, then I'm gonna touch about the going to the same JC with friends or not, because that one I had quite like I have something to say. I think my last point is like I think just go and I don't know if I know okay, last time we have open house. And I think it's nice to go to just like get a feeling of like even the school environment, right? Physical environment. And open house usually there will be like seniors like leading people. And I think at least there's some first-hand experience of how the people are like and like how is it organized and what is being offered, right? A lot of things I think like what activities there are, what kind of school events there are. Like it would be good to just go for the open house to see for yourself like what kind of thing is offered. I know like COVID, it has been like virtual open house. I don't think this year, I'm not sure about this year. I probably virtual as well, right? But you get like some interaction with the school before deciding your next 2 years. And so I think like make time for those kind of events. Like just go like a few choices.
What about the friends part?
Back to the friends one. Back to the friends one, right? So when I was going, when I choose RI, actually I have no friends going to RI. There are some friends, but not a lot. So it is almost as if I'm going to a school where I know no one. But that was okay. Because I think I'm quite an extrovert lah. Like back then I was an extrovert. So it worked out. I made a lot of new friends. Everyone is everyone's very friendly. I know like there are rumors that RI people like not very nice and everything, but it's a school with 1,200 students. The rumors may be true and it applies to like a very small group of people, but there are other people who are like very friendly, and I definitely made friends like that I still talk to until now, like, and will be talking to until like for very long.
Yeah, I think don't be, I mean, it's an intimidating thought to think of like, hey, I must make new friends, like, wow, such a chore, right? But the truth is, it's part and parcel of life, lah. I think at every point in your life is a new chapter. You meet new people. That doesn't mean you have to let go of people you have formed a bond with, but it's about putting in the effort to maintain that bond and yet having more people in your life. I think that's a beautiful thing. Now, in terms of like factors, I think we shared a couple for you all to think over. I think what you guys might want to hear is our own experience, whether we regretted the choice of our JC. I think from Xin Wei's tone, it's kind of obvious that I think she enjoyed it, but I'll let her speak for herself. For myself, do I regret the choice of my JC? In terms of the people, in terms of my CCA, I think those were all great. Like I think I made the right choice. The only regret was that I wish that the school was closer. Yeah. So and that is something that I couldn't change. If I went back in time, would I have made a different choice? I might have, but I wouldn't know. So for me, it's like when I look at that point in time, what were the factors presented to me, and I made a decision then, I think I would still have made the same decision. But on hindsight, hindsight is 50-50. For me, maybe I've tried a different route just because I'm curious how that would have panned out. But overall, I think that if you make the choice with information relevant at that point in time, don't regret too much. Yeah, so I think regret is a very stupid word. I made a lot of good friends in JC and had great memories, so I really don't regret any of that. I just very sian of the traveling time, if you get what I mean. Yeah, so if you're making a decision based on that, I think distance, it matters more than it seems. Right, Xin Wei, what for you?
I think so. I think like what Darrell said, I have no regrets of choosing RI. But I also wanted to touch on, I feel like if at that point I have chosen other school, that time I think I was also considering from my location, Hwa Chong was also not very far away. It's a bit further, like I walk to school, but if Hwa Chong I need to take bus. But I don't think I would have regretted also. I think like it's more like it's something that you create, and the circumstances, the people are going to be different. So it's up to you to create that 2 years. So I feel like even if that year, if I have chosen other school, I think my answer today may have still been the same. May have still been like, oh, I enjoy my experience and I made a lot of good friends. I had really a lot of fun for that 2 years. So I think if listener was like super like really dilemma, don't know how to choose, right? I think really just at that point, like go with what you think will be the best. And because you wouldn't know, honestly, you will never know if other path would have been better. There's no way to know that. So I think just choose that, stick with it, and then create the best out of it. Yeah.
Actually, Xingwei, to wrap things up, right, my POV is very similar to yours. I don't think the school you choose should dictate the kind of JC life you have. So you need to think of school as just a circumstance, right? That is your environment. But what you create of the experience is really up to you, right? Whether you want to throw yourself out there to try more activities, right? Then you get a more vibrant school life, right? Or how much you want to improve yourself to dedicate that discipline to your academics, right? Is what you make out of the experience rather than the experience itself. I know some of you listening here might not make the cut off for the JC that you wanted, but I don't think you should be discouraged too much as well, right? If you wanted, you aim for it, you tried your best, you didn't get it, that's cool, man. The alternative doesn't mean it's worse. It might be better, it might be worse. The truth is we don't know. But what you make out of your JC life is dependent on your choice and your mentality. So what you want to do, whether you step into your dream school or not, I think is about how you approach that choice with no regrets, knowing that, okay, now I'm going to this JC, I'm going to make the most out of my 2 years here. If you have that mentality, I think you'll be in a very good place to make the best out of your 2 years.
Yes, agree with that.
Yeah, and I think with that, we come to the end of today's podcast. We hope that the information we shared is relevant based on our personal experience and what we have seen so far around us, the factors that's important, and going with your friends or not, is it really that important? And more importantly, controlling your own destiny, right? Don't let the school dictate the kind of school life you have, but instead form connections, meet new people, and grow yourself. All right, Sing, any last shout out to our students?
Will this go on before or after O-level result release?
I'm hoping that it'll go out before.
before. Okay, so all the best, everyone.
Yes, all the best for your results. No matter what results you get, just know you did your best, and that's all that anybody can ask for, right? Whether you hit the mark or not, if you did, obviously congrats, your hard work paid off. If you didn't, don't be too discouraged. This is just one of the many hurdles in life. Even if you do super well at O level, you still need to do well at A level, right? So O level is just another barrier. But if not, we sincerely hope that you manage to get the score you are aiming for. If you're still not too sure which JC you want to go to and you want to get more perspective and insight, Overmark will be hosting a webinar right after O levels release to talk about the different JCs, the breakdowns based on what current students are saying about the school, as well as our recommendations for some subject combinations. So do keep a lookout for that. All right, bye everyone.
It sound right, boy.